Namaste, this is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today is the 18th of November 2013. Following is the Vedic astrology reading for Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg, based on the 27th of November 1957 at 8:15 a.m. in New York City. Now, using the systems approach to interpreting horoscope, using Vedic astrology from India and the sidereal zodiac, which is 23 degrees earlier than the tropical zodiac used by Western astrologers, then this in the first house gives the 8th sign of the zodiac ascending or rising. So this is Scorpio rising sign. This is always the first house, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10, 11, 12 houses in a horoscope. Houses always remain the same, but you put the sign in starting with the ascendant or rising sign. So we have Scorpio in the first house, and in the first house we have the royal sun and the powerful Saturn, both sitting in the first house of Scorpio. We have Mercury in Sagittarius in the second house with Venus in Sagittarius. We have Moon in the third house in Capricorn, Ketu, the southern node of the moon, in the sixth house of Aries, Jupiter in the 11th house of Virgo, Rahu, the northern node of the moon, and Mars in the 12th house in the sign of Libra. So let's start with the royal sun here. Sun rules his 10th house of career. It's placed in the first house. Brings career to her. It brings leadership to her. Sun is a royal planet. It's in the first house. This opens a lot of doors for her. And Sun, of course, is father, and it was a close connection with father, although he was assassinated. He was the 35th president of the United States, and he was assassinated. But there was a close connection with father, and this gives some royal position to her in life. Saturn rules his fourth house of mother, also in the first house. It gives close connection with mother. And Saturn in her first house makes her very conservative. She was quite shy as a child. So these two have very good connections here in the first house. Sun and Saturn, mother and father. Now Mercury's in the second house. This brings gains through her own self-efforts and through her family. And Venus in the second house gives some status through the arts, fine arts, performing arts, healing arts, beauty, affluence. Mercury in the second house gives her good communication skills, and Venus in the second house gives her melodic voice. Moon in the third house gives some divine grace and good fortune. Moon rules the ninth house of divine grace, good fortune. It's in the third house of independence and self-expression. Ketu, the southern node of the moon, down in the sixth house. It can cause some mental tension, some health issues. Jupiter up here in the 11th house brings gains through her family's wealth. The second house is wealth and status and family life, ruled by Jupiter in the house of income and gains. But she can also gain through publishing, teaching, consulting, advisory roles, religion, and law. In fact, she is an attorney, and she graduated from Radcliffe, which is part of Harvard University, very exclusive school, and she did get her law degree. So that's that Jupiter in the 11th house of gains. And then we have Mars up here. That can cause some health issues for her. It can cause some conflict connected with foreign lands, some health issues, some financial issues from time to time. Now, interesting, Mars also represents younger brothers. And her younger brother was John Kennedy Jr., who was killed in a plane crash. This is Mars in the 12th house of loss of brother. Mars' younger brothers. And it's with Rahu, which is unexpected calamity. And see, they're within about 2.5 degrees of each other. This is almost 17 degrees. This is 19 degrees. So this Mars is under the eclipse of Rahu and Ketu. Both of them are afflicting Mars. So that is why she lost her. That reflects the loss of her younger brother. The problem is that Mars rules this 6th house, so it's not a benefic planet for Scorpio. I know some people think that Mars is good for Scorpio, but it's not. The Multricone sign for Mars is Aries. And so that takes precedence. And it rules the 6th house, so it's a malefic, and it's in a malefic house of loss. Now Mars aspects 4, 7, and 8 houses away, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this Mars at 19 degrees is clearly throwing an aspect on Moon at 22 degrees. What does Moon rule? It rules the 9th house. And what is the 9th house? Father. So this would indicate that Mars ruling the 6th house of enemies, operating out of the house of losses, brings loss of father through enemies. So he was assassinated. Moon also represents mother, and Mars rules the 6th house of health issues. It's operating out of the house of losses and hospitalization. And so she lost her mother when her mother was only 64 to lung cancer. So it shows that this Mars is clearly a functional malefic planet for Scorpio. And it's afflicting Moon ruling the 9th house of father, so loss of father, and Moon ruling mother, loss of mother. Let's take a look at the timing of events. He was born in 1957 in Moon main period, but it only lasted for 1 year, about a year and a half. Usually when somebody's born in the tail end of a main period, and there's short sub-periods in there, then there's going to be a lot of changes in life. And look at this. He was in the Mars main period from the age of 1 to the age of 8. And this is where she lost her father, right in here. She lost her father in November 63. So she would have been in the Mars main period. Mars is absolutely a functional malefic planet for the Scorpio. Rules that 6th house, and it's in, see, there's, of the 12 houses, 9 are favorable, but 3 are not. The 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house in every chart are called Dustan Bhavas, inauspicious houses. Planets going to those houses become weak. Planets ruling those houses can cause adverse effects if that house contains a Multricone sign. So Aries is the Multricone sign for Mars, so Mars becomes a malefic. Gemini is not a Multricone sign, so her 8th ruler doesn't cause any trouble. But look at this, her 12th ruler is Venus. This is Libra. It's the Multricone sign for Venus. So Venus also becomes a functional malefic planet for Scorpio. A lot of people don't know that. Well, look what happened. She was in 1963 when she lost her father, who was assassinated. Mars main period, Venus sub-period. And Venus is a functional malefic. In fact, it's the most malefic planet for Scorpio. And here's another point. Remember I said that any planet close to the rising sign degree becomes very powerful. It has a massive impact. So her rising sign is about 27 degrees. Let's go look at this most malefic planet, Venus. It's at 28 degrees. So it's destroying the 2nd house. And what is the 2nd house? Continuation of family life. So she loses her father to an assassination, and she loses her younger brother to a plane crash. So it also demonstrates quite clearly that for Scorpio, Venus is the most malefic planet. It is afflicting this 2nd house of continuation of family life, and its aspect on the 8th house of accidents and death-like experiences is also applicable. So this is quite clear that Mars and Venus are causing massive trouble in this chart. Mars ruling younger brothers is in that house of loss, and it's afflicted by Rahu and Ketu. And Venus ruling the 12th house, the most malefic planet, is afflicting continuation of family life. So she loses her father and she loses her brother. I do think she has to watch her health, because Mars rules health, and it's in the 12th house of loss, and it's afflicted by Rahu and Ketu. That can cause hidden health issues and misdiagnosed health issues. Now we can do remedies for charts. So if this is my chart, I would be wearing an emerald gemstone for Mercury because it's at 0 degrees infant state. See, Mercury rules his 11th house of older siblings. If it's strong, it would give her the protection of an older sibling. It's not. It's at 0 degrees. It's weak. No protection of an older sibling. No older siblings. Jupiter's older brothers as well, and it's at 29 degrees old age, weak. And it's ruled by the weak Mercury at 0 degrees. So no older brother. No protection from older siblings. So I'd be wearing an emerald gemstone to strengthen the Mercury. Moon, we've already proved, is afflicted because this Mars at 19 degrees throws an aspect 4, 7, and 8 houses away. 1, 2, 3, 4, right on the moon. This causes loss of mother and it causes loss of father. Moon rules the 9th house of father. So she needs to wear a single large pearl to strengthen the moon, and she can use white clothing and white colors as well. And for Jupiter, ruling wealth and status and continuation of family life, this is an old age, weak Jupiter. This also causes weakness of the liver and the gallbladder and the hips. Those would be problems for her later on. So she needs a yellow sapphire gemstone to strengthen Jupiter. So if she wears a yellow sapphire for Jupiter, a pearl for the moon, and an emerald for the Mercury, it would help her a lot. She should never be wearing diamonds. If she's wearing a diamond, she should remove it. It's her most malefic planet. And no red coral. Now it's safe for her to wear a ruby for the Sun and a blue sapphire for the Saturn, but they're not necessary. Why? Because these are very powerful, positive planets for her. Why put more air in a perfectly good tire? These are good tires. I really love the Sun in the first house. I wish she would run for public office and do very, very well. I'd like to see her take a very high position in the government. She's right now ambassador to Japan, which is good, but I think she can do even better. Let's just take a look at the timing of events. She's ran her 18 years of Rahu already. She's run her 16 years of Jupiter, so that means she's in 19 years of Saturn. That started back in 1999, and it's going to run until May 2018. So she's got 4.5 years to go of Saturn. What is the story with Saturn? Saturn rules the 4th house of happiness, home life, property, family life. It's in the 1st house. So she's got married. She's got 3 children. So that's what's going on, family life. Maybe in the Mercury period, which is in the house of communications and wealth and status, maybe she'll probably do some writing and be a messenger during that time. Let's look at these sub-periods. Oh, she's in Rahu right now. January 2013 to November 2015. So that's not good because Rahu is afflicting Mars, so she can have some health issues and some property issues. She has to be careful there. Now, she'll probably do quite well this 16 months of Jupiter. From November 2015 to May 2018. Jupiter's quite good for her. It's strong enough because it gave her a law degree in education. Okay, so these are the main points for Caroline Kennedy Schlossberg. Namaste.